I've had a lot of people ask me about the latest crowdfunding campaign from Hasbro, so I thought I'd make a video about it. Haslab is, of course, the part of Hasbro that's doing crowdfunded production of very high-end toys, the first of which was Jabba's sail barge, which you can see here. I reviewed that a couple of years ago on the channel and liked it quite a lot. I would say that the project so far has been a big success, and even though $500 seemed expensive at that time, new in-box barges have been selling for insane prices on eBay, so I think it's fair to say that it's very much in demand even now. After the barge, Haslab's next Star Wars-related project was the Razor Crest from The Mandalorian, which sold incredibly well, getting more than 28,000 backers when its initial target was just 6,000. It's supposed to be coming in early 2022, and I did back that one as well, so you can expect a review on the channel when I receive it. I think part of the reason this one sold so well was that people saw the success of the barge and regretted not getting in on it, and I'm also sure that a lot of people ordered multiples with the intention of selling them and trying to replicate the success that some people had selling the barge. They announced their third Star Wars-related project a few weeks ago, a massive Rancor figure intended to scale with Hasbro's 6-inch Black Series figures. But it seems like a lot of people aren't completely sold on this project yet, so I thought I would take a closer look at it. It should probably go without saying that as a massive Jabba fan who has pretty much everything related to Jabba's palace, I backed the project right away. But even I thought it was pretty expensive at $350, and I think that's the main problem that most people have with this, the price. So let's take a look at what you get for your money. Now the Rancor is going to be an absolutely massive figure. You can see him here in comparison to a 6-inch Stormtrooper, and of course he towers above him, as he should. He's apparently going to be almost 18 inches tall at the shoulder, and if you make his arms go all the way up, they'll be 27 inches tall. And if you make his arms stretch out as far as they can, that'll make him 42 inches wide, which is pretty impressive. They've also included an image showing the Rancor with the sail barge and the Razor Crest, although, of course, you have to keep in mind that these are not in the same scale with each other, so, of course, the ships are 3 3/4 inch figure scale, while the Rancor is 6-inch Black Series scale. But if you have the sail barge, you know roughly how big it is, how gigantic it is, and, this probably is a useful comparison. But I also thought it might be helpful to make a comparison between the Black Series Rancor and all the other Rancor figures that have been released in the past, so I whipped one up in Photoshop. This is, of course, not totally accurate, not scientific. I've just sort of eyeballed a lot of these things, but I think it gives you an idea. So the Black Series Rancor is supposed to be 17.5 inches tall at his tallest point. In comparison, the vintage Kenner Rancor is around 9 inches tall, so about half the height of the Black Series. The Power of the Force Rancor is slightly taller than that. And then if we go to the Legacy Rancor, sometimes called the Vintage Collection Rancor, this one is about 12 inches tall. At first glance, an extra 6 inches of Rancor may not seem worth paying $350 for, but of course it's going to get bigger in all dimensions, so I think in hand it'll probably be a pretty impressively large figure. But still, if we compare it to something truly gargantuan, like the Sideshow Collectibles statue, which comes in at 29.5 inches tall, well, it's not quite as impressive looking. But of course, this isn't a statue. This is an action figure with some impressive articulation, and I think we have to take that articulation into account when we're considering the value of the figure. They say that he's got more than 45 points of articulation. I'm not sure exactly what that means, 46 perhaps. In any case, you can see from the video that they've posted that he's got way more articulation than any Rancor figure we've ever had, including articulated finger joints on all of his fingers. He's got very movable torso, enabling him to do all kinds of poses that would have been impossible before. And honestly, the cool thing about it is that it doesn't seem like the articulation really affects the appearance of the figure all that much. They also say that he's got entertainment-accurate details, which is a term I don't really understand, but they're including the movable separate manacle and his drool in that, so I guess these are sort of play features in some sense, and definitely ones that you'd want in a Rancor. Finally, they're saying that he's going to have over 900 paint ops, which is pretty impressive. Honestly, one of the biggest weaknesses of the previous Rancor figures we've had has been the paint jobs, so I am looking forward to this. So does all of that equal $350 worth of value? Well, that's up to you. For me, probably not. It's closer to maybe $250, just in terms of my general sense of how much it should cost. But there is one thing you have to keep in mind, and that is that all of these projects have bonus tiers that can be unlocked depending on how many backers there are. And to some extent, these bonuses have been already baked into the price, I think. Now, for the Razor Crest, this meant that in addition to the ship itself, backers will be receiving an escape pod, a child figure with hover pram, 4 carbonite blocks, a clear display stand, and an off-world Jawa figure. And I think that does add a considerable amount of value compared to just getting the ship by itself. In the case of the Rancor, there are 4 tiers, the first of which unlocks at 11,000 backers, the second of which unlocks at 13,500, and the other ones just say stay tuned, maybe so Hasbro can kind of adjust that depending on how things are going, maybe. I think the reason they keep these tier bonuses hidden is to kind of spark interest throughout the campaign as a new bonus is revealed, but it can also have the opposite effect and kind of discourage people from joining if they don't know what the potential bonuses are or if they're going to be reached. Even though they're not really anywhere near reaching the 11,000 backers needed to unlock the first tier, they did announce what it was a little while ago. In fact, it's a carded Power of the Force 2 style Gamorrean in the 6-inch Black Series scale. And that's cool. I mean, it definitely makes sense to pair that with the Rancor, but this is a figure, basically it's just a repack of a figure that they've already released quite a long time ago, so it's not super exciting. For a lot of people, I think whether this is worth the money will depend on what these remaining 3 mystery tiers are going to be. I have some ideas, and I'd be interested to hear what you think as well. My thoughts are probably one will definitely be a Rancor Keeper figure in the 6-inch scale. That would be very cool, especially if it's like a unique, exclusive figure to this set. Secondly, I'd really, more than even the Rancor Keeper, I would really like an Ula figure in the 6-inch scale, and that seems like a no-brainer, but who knows. As for the final bonus, well, there's no guarantee, of course, that any of these are going to be figures necessarily. It could be some sort of an environment piece, like maybe even a section of the gate that comes down on the Rancor. That would be really cool. But more than likely, it's probably going to be another figure, so I'm trying to think of who else would be a possibility, and unfortunately, about the only thing I can think of is Luke. I say unfortunately because they've already basically made this figure, and unless they're going to be redoing it from scratch, which would be nice, I think it's just going to end up being another repack, maybe with a Rancor bone or something. But even if we only end up getting these 4 figures that I talk about here, that's about $100 in value that you have to take into account when you're thinking of the $350 price tag for the Rancor. Of course, there's no guarantee that the tiers will even get unlocked, depending on the number of backers who decide to back the project, but if my experience with the other projects is any indication, they tend to surge right at the end, so I'm not too worried about that. I'd like to know what you think about this project. Have you backed it already, or have you decided to kind of wait and see what the bonus tiers are going to be? What would it take for you to decide to back the project? What kind of bonus would you really like to see? I've talked about the price a lot, so I'll leave that, but I do have a couple other problems with the project. One is that it's not going to be ready until sometime in 2023, which is a really long lead time, given that we're being asked to pay up front for it. And beyond that, Hasbro has never actually released a full Jabba's throne room environment of any kind for the 6-inch Black Series. The closest that we've gotten was a SDCC exclusive, which didn't even have an actual throne, just a cardboard display piece. And the idea of releasing this giant Rancor without also releasing a throne environment for Jabba seems a little strange. So I do hope that they have some kind of plans for that in the future as well. Thanks for watching. This video was brought to you with help from my patrons on Patreon, including these Palace VIPs and Angelica Brady. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can see how you can do that by clicking the link in the video description. My patrons get a variety of bonuses, including early access to some of my videos, occasional discounts to my Etsy store, and behind-the-scenes posts that show what I'm working on in terms of upcoming videos for the channel. So definitely give it a look.